Welcome to Automated Mobility, the people behind the wheel. In this podcast series, we get to know the experts working in the field of automated mobility. What drives them, and how do they think their work contributes to a better mobility system? I am your host, Henriette Cornet, and I am the coordinator of SHOW, a European project testing automated vehicles in real life. SHOW is led by UITP, the International Association of Public Transport. Together, with 70 other partners, we investigate a future where mobility is shared, connected, and automated. Today's episode, Guido di Pasquale, UITP. Hello Guido, welcome to the podcast series. Very nice to having you with us today.
Thank you very much, Henriette. Thank you for having me here. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, first podcast episode?
Yes.
Cool. So it's a bit special actually to have you with us today because you are from UITP, so we will be able to go behind the scenes of UITP and also at the roots of SHOW, because you were at the very, very beginning of the project. And you participated to its creation and so on, so we will get into that. And also, I have to say, it's a bit special because you are actually the person who hired me within UITP. We met in Singapore, if you remember, and it was kind of a synchronicity because I was looking some way to get back to Europe, and I think you were kind of desperately looking for someone for SHOW.
Exactly.
To manage this very large project. So I would say it works pretty well. It was very nice to meeting you, and I'm here today thanks to you.
Same for me. I mean, it was like a very important milestone for me to meet you in Singapore because I was there presenting SHOW for the first time.
Oh, okay, I see. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so good step. Okay, so let's jump into the episode. I would like to introduce you to the audience so that the audience get to know you better. You are Deputy Director within UITP in the division of K&I. And you have other side activities. Maybe we can mention them a bit later. But can you tell us first what you are doing at UITP and what is K&I about?
Yes. K&I Knowledge and Innovation is, I would say, a core department at UITP. We are in charge of developing the knowledge. The knowledge is developed through two main streams. One is working with our members, working with them through the committees that we have. We have many committees addressing many topics that are relevant for public transport, and we work with them. One of the examples is this policy brief on autonomous vehicles that you've mentioned several times in this podcast, and like that we have many others on all fields, on buses, electric buses, rail, on the role of the authorities, and so on. Mm-hmm. The second stream is the projects. Through the projects. Before
going to the project, can you remind us about the members of UITP? Who are they? Where are they coming from? And it will help us understand also the vision, the global vision of UITP and the goal behind it.
UITP is I think a unique ecosystem of memberships because we have all type of actors that are needed to advance public transport. These are the public transport authorities, the public transport operator, as well as the new mobility service providers, so operators as well. We have the industries and suppliers and the academics as well.
Okay. And for the person absolutely not familiar with public transport, maybe it's good to remind that you have this type of authority, which is more related to the government. They get kind of an assignment from the government to arrange, to monitor, to supervise the public transport system, and the operators are really the one on the ground, like executing, so to say, the mobility. Is it correct?
Exactly. So we have to distinguish the operators that are the ones transporting people through their means of transport. Can be metro, buses, or other vehicles, and the authorities that we call at UITP organizing authorities, because they are the ones organizing the mobility in the cities.
Okay, thanks for clarifying this. And what about your role? What are you doing at
my
UITP?
role at UITP? So I'm co-director now of knowledge and innovation, and I'm responsible for our team in KNI, in particular for the implementation of the research and innovation projects that we have. We have many of them at UITP, touching all the different aspects. One of them is automation, of course, but we, as I said, we have projects on cities, on smart cities, projects on governance, on electric buses and rail and ticketing and so on. So my role here is to support and supervise the team on the deployment of these research projects. I also have other responsibilities, given my background on IT, ITS, and technology. I'm involved in other associations, sister association of UITP. One of them is IT for PT. So I'm the chairman of the requirement committee there, working with members to understand the needs of operators and authorities in terms of standardizations. And
Standardization of ITS?
IT.
Okay.
So we started with onboard equipment, standards onboard, the vehicles, the buses, but it can be also end-to-end back office standards and communication between different systems.
Okay, I think you need to elaborate a bit on this. So it means like connectivity from the bus to the infrastructure to the control center, or like what type of connectivity or systems?
Connectivity, communication between the vehicle and the back office systems, communication between back office system with another back office system, onboard standards, so everything related to IT within public transport is addressed by IT4PT in terms of standardization.
Okay, I see. And this back office system, an example would be, is it what's managed, for example, the real-time information system, things like that?
Yes,
or what
things
would
like
be
that.
applications?
Things like that. Standards for data exchange.
Like format.
For exchanging, for example, timetable information or real-time information. And this is actually, we are addressing this type of challenge through a project that we coordinate called Data for PT, which is quite important because it is supporting EU member states in the deployment of these data standards. And the let's say building these national access points.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's a lot.
There's a lot. Yes, yes.
It's a lot to talk about.
And coming back to my role, I'm involved also in the executive board of the Smart Ticketing Alliance, just to complete.
Okay.
The overview.
So ticketing on top.
On top, yes.
On top of everything. Before moving to show, I would have a question regarding the vision of UITP towards mobility. The people who have listened to all the episodes before kind of know it because I mention it from time to time. But since you are longer also working for UITP, I would really like you to tell the audience what is the mobility vision of UITP? How is UITP seeing mobility in our everyday lives?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. This is it's important to highlight the vision of UITP in terms of mobility of the future. UITP sees mobility must be sustainable.
That's central, right?
Yes,
in everything we do.
We used to say move people and not vehicles or cars, because what we want to reach in terms of environment, in terms of safety, sustainability in general, is where public transport can really play a role. And we say public transport is part of the solution of our challenges. So at UITP, we see public transport as a backbone of urban mobility, but we are also aware that the traditional public transport cannot satisfy all the needs of the people, all the different needs, like in rural areas or in suburbs or in different time of the day. So we need more flexible transport. So that's why in the recent years we talked about the redefinition of public transport, where you have always the mass transit as a backbone of urban mobility, but complemented by other more flexible and on-demand transport.
So mass transit will be the metro, very typically.
Be the metro, the buses.
And this other mode of transport, what can they be?
Other mode of transport can be the what we call now shared mobility, can be vehicle on demand, so that you book on your own request, these minivans, minibuses, for example, or it can be car sharing, it can be bike sharing, without forgetting walking and cycling.
Mm-hmm. And the scooters.
And the scooters.
Who are everywhere currently.
Yes, but as a whole, this would constitute the mobility of the future for UITP.
Mm-hmm. And with this sustainability background, it's all about having lowest impact as possible on the environment and being really like have a kind of positive impact also on the society. Saying inclusive, for example, accessibility, inclusiveness, exactly. All this aspect. For me personally, I see it including in the term sustainability.
Exactly. This would ensure accessibility for all, sustainability in terms of economical and environmental viability, but also inclusiveness, because we need to ensure the right of transport, of mobility to all. Mm-hmm. So everyone needs to have this right to move from
access
A to
mobility.
B and access mobility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for putting this. It's a very good framework, I would say, also to move on. And I think it was based, like, we keep always this in mind when we are working in automotive mobility. We can speak about it a bit later. But I always remind that it's not having automated mobility for just for it or for love for technology or whatever, but we keep always in mind the sustainability impact, positive impacts that we want to make. But I suggest moving on to the show project, which is hosting this podcast. I see you smile already when you hear.
Yes, big memories.
Yes, so maybe you can tell us a bit about the origin of the project. Who initiated it, maybe, or how has it been created? And this.
Yes, that's a very exciting question for me, because I still consider show one of the biggest achievement that we did at UITP.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit your baby.
A bit the baby that now you are growing and you are successfully, let's say, conducting. So I'm very proud of it, and also coming back to the initial, to the beginning, very proud that we met and that you are now conducting this project. But going back to the history, I would start, I think you already talked about the policy brief in 2017, but in 2016, when I joined UITP, we didn't have any special approach or position or ideas on autonomous vehicles, on automated mobility. So it was something that was left to other sectors. So,
but with the industry, for example.
To the industry, for example. With this policy brief, it was the first important action from our members to discuss together what the autonomous vehicle could bring, the value that this could bring to the public transport sector. And you know very well this policy brief, the content of it, that was, let's say, passing the message that autonomous vehicles should be integrated with public transport and they should not simply replace the private cars. So that it can only work if it is integrated as a system. So that was the main message of the policy brief.
So avoiding, for example, having AV fleets in parallel to public transport that could compete with public transport.
Exactly. So at the time, we wanted to do more than simply, which was already a lot, but to advance, to do more than a policy brief. We also started to discuss with EU institution and also with external stakeholder and to try to understand what was happening. And then with the members, mostly the same that wrote this policy brief, but we tried to involve all other members. We decided to create a project, an internal project that we called SPACE, Shared, Personalized, Connected, Automated Vehicles. So I remember.
I will ask you the same question about show, by the way.
That's more challenging. I know it as show. But with SPACE, we wanted to have a proper project, limited duration, but go more into details. And we realized, or we thought that the main argument for us to deepen and to develop the knowledge for was to understand the use of these vehicles, so the different use cases of automated vehicles, always looking at this integrated and shared approach. A possible architecture, technical architecture, so how this vehicle would be technically integrated into the public transport systems.
A bit this aspect comes back to this, for example, connectivity aspect and data exchange and so on. So really,
really connecting. Maybe we can come back to this if you want. The third important element was to understand the impact of autonomous vehicles at different level, especially the impact on the different stakeholders, the impact on the authorities, the impact on the operators, the impact on the citizens.
You mean the role when you say the impact of the authorities?
Yes, so what would mean for them? How operators should reorganize themselves, their operational, daily, and when they introduce these vehicles, because if we assume they are electric, first of all, you have the challenge that they are electric, but they are also autonomous, and how this can replace fixed lines and so on. For the authorities as well, so they have to organize the mobility in the city, and there is an impact on the overall mobility of the city, and also on the citizens and the user acceptance, and how we can facilitate this user acceptance or understand at least the barriers and the challenges for us, as citizens, to accept this.
Yeah, we had also some episode on that, and we will come back to the public, speaking about the public perception of automated mobility. But you mentioned the use cases, and that's a term that we use constantly in projects, but I'm not sure it's clear for everyone. A way I like to put it, and it's not exactly the same, is, for example, services. So when we define use cases with automated mobility, we are looking at which vehicles do we have for which purpose. And I don't know if you want to give us some examples, so we have a bit in mind what's possible. I gave it also in the very first introduction episode, how can they be used, but that's something that SPACE really contributed.
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of people are referring still to SPACE with these use cases / maybe services, more or less.
Yeah, indeed, we wanted to identify a number of interesting services, as you say, that the automated vehicles could bring forward. So, for example, as a robotaxi or as automated depot of buses, or as there are as big buses, or as shared shuttles, or as you know, so different, including logistics as well. So there were 13 use cases, if I remember well, that were identified. This is coming from the knowledge that we have today, of course. So the hope is that in the future there will be some services and use cases that today we don't even imagine.
Yeah, of course, more to come in the future. Okay, so that was space, and somehow space evolved into something more, not, I don't want to say structured, but like to something including external funding and so on. So tell us about
well, at the same period, there was this big call launched by the European Commission that was reflecting almost 100% what we were doing in space. So this call was really asking for the introduction of autonomous vehicles, shared and integrated with public transport. Of course, looking at the technology, the different aspects, safety and cybersecurity, and even user acceptance from the social point of view. But the mission or the objective of this call was exactly the same as space. So that's why we decided, okay, UITP should be the leader of a proposal, an application for this type of project, because we want the users meaning as the operators or the users of this technology, to lead this type of project. So I started to contact the different actors in Europe, research centers, operators, OEMs, vehicle manufacturers, shuttle manufacturers. So all the actors that in 2018 were working hardly on this, and it became big. It became big because at the end we were attractive as UITP, because the call was about public transport and shared mobility, and having UITP leading this type of project attracted many actors. So we built this big consortium.
Very big.
We also had some discussions, and we included other groups that were initiating similar projects. So we decided to merge and have a bigger and more impacting approach. But what I think was apart the technology side that is under development in show and the demonstration, I think is also the impact that the project will provide and is providing already in terms of knowledge and in terms of community creation, and in terms of really providing a forum for all of us, and to see in the demonstrations what is happening.
Yes, that's also the way I see this very unique project because of its size. That of course we have all these technological developments and academic work and so on, but this community, as you say, like it's unique. It's so large that we are really talking to everybody, and the knowledge can be shared within the community, and we will make progress thanks to that, thanks to this sharing of knowledge, definitely. But digging maybe a bit more into this into the project, I'm sure you remember very good how it is structured and all the topics. Is there a topic in particular that you like in the project? Something you find very personally, maybe put it aside your role as a deputy director, but like really personally something that you say, this was new and exciting.
Yes, I mean, overall, I think the project is very well built and structured. Of course, I put more energy and emphasis on the demonstrations. So this is for me the core and the most important part, and the ones that I like more because it's the way the project can demonstrate what the industries, and also can give the opportunity to the industries to work with the operators and to work with the local authorities and to work with even with the citizens in some cases. So I think the demonstrations are the most important, and it is where I spent more time to discuss with the cities and discuss with those who were at the time leading the local building of this local community. But also
But maybe before you jump to the next point, sorry to interrupt, regarding the demonstration, what we mean with that is that we had 2 years of preparation in the project with this goal of having the vehicles actually on the road. So that's what we mean with demonstration. Sometimes it's called pilot activities, tests. So it's really putting everything that we have built together with all the partners into services, into on the road. And this is happening actually right now. They are starting, so I also mentioned it in previous episode, and I will put the link so that people can check. Maybe it's happening close to their home somewhere where they can really try the services. And they are also, what's unique with this demonstration is they are running for a longer period of time. So it's not kind of advertisement, entertainment, I don't know how to call it, short service, but it's over a month. People can try it. And really, that is where, and I think it's what you meant before, where we can gather most of the outcomes, insights. So I just wanted to remind a bit what are these demonstrations in the project.
Indeed. This is very important because probably for the first time we have a project where you have several months of testing, and with several months, 8, 6, or 10, you can collect data. And you can assess the impact of the service in the city, in the road infrastructure, on for the technology, all the problems and the challenges. So you need time, and even to prepare that. So you could realize in the project, doing the project, that it took ages only to get the permission to test this.
Okay, so the permission is a bit less than 2 years, but in some countries it's 1 year actually to get the permit, but to prepare everything, to prepare the entire.
And all this is lesson learned for anyone, any city, any operator that want to start this,
to do it again. And I would be interested to know a bit your view on European projects in general, because what I noticed with Show is, okay, there is this incredible community and we are generating so much knowledge, but still I can see some limitation to such, I would say, construct mechanisms of European project. Mainly, as I sometimes mention, being the coordinator, it means for us a lot of administrative work. So for me, I'm a bit like not so sure if it is the right tool, if we really want to have an impact on the mobility of the future. But I really would like to have your opinion on that. Do you think that what is the usefulness really from this project, and can they really have an impact, considering all this, so that they are quite heavy in terms of administration, for example?
It's true that it's quite heavy in terms of the administration, but I truly believe that the European projects are a powerful tool for research, to support the research in Europe, and to strengthen the collaboration between the different parties. It gives really the opportunity to establish this collaboration between Sweden and Greece, Italy and France and Germany, and to exchange between universities their research, and to put together the users, who can be the operators, the final users, or whoever the users of the technology, with those providing the technology. So it's a unique I think, way, supported by the European Commission. So it's reducing the risks in terms of finance for the research. But it's a unique opportunity for European organizations to advance in research, supported financially by the European Commission, but also pushing them to collaborate. Pushing them to collaborate at international level. Otherwise, the research will remain local, best case national, and they will never exchange. And I think this is important. It's important for the research, for the development of the European industries. It is important also for young generations to have the opportunity to be in these projects, young researchers.
Yeah, we have many PhD students.
Many PhD students that I'm sure they will always remember their involvement in this project, because it gives the opportunity to exchange with peers in other part of the world. It's true that it's a burden, this financial administration, but it's after all, these projects are funded by taxpayers, exactly. So we need transparency.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I fully agree with this aspect of. I found it even like so nice on everyday basis how we are talking to everyone in Europe, like as there was absolutely no frontier between us. And yeah, you see this multicultural and interdisciplinary background. I think that's something very unique that this type of projects can support.
Yes, indeed. Show is a bit special because it's big, and when you have this number of partners, the administration become very heavy, you know very well. In other cases, it's not that big, and it can be
easier
to manage.
In an easier way. Maybe it's time now to move to the topic itself of automated mobility. You have mentioned it already with the space project. We have talked about it with show and these demonstrations that are happening. But I would like to hear from you something a bit more personal, so to say. How do you relate to automated mobility? How did you come to this topic? Because from your background, I didn't mention in the beginning, is electronic engineering. So how did you end up working in this in the field of automated mobility, and what is interesting for you in this topic?
Yes, thank you for the question. It was not planned. Actually, I started as a software engineer for industrial automation. So somehow I was already starting with automation.
It's more robotic? Or
more robotics,
okay.
Yes, more robotics. Then I moved to the transport sector, working on IT solutions for mobility. That was already close to this. But then when I joined UITP, I think everything started because of this need of pushing for the importance of automated mobility in our sector. So I took this opportunity to lead this new challenge. I found it very attractive and exciting because I like technology, because I like the future of mobility. So I found automated mobility, autonomous vehicles, very exciting topic. I think most of us find AVs very exciting. And yeah, that was the main reason. And when I started to dig and to understand it better, I was very attracted by it. And I started to speak with the people. I started to speak with the industries and to understand how this vehicle would work and the challenges and where we are today and where we want to be tomorrow. It's attractive also in terms of future of mobility and how we want to transform the mobility of tomorrow.
Yeah, I fully relate to that, and I see this topic of automated mobility really as a fantastic platform to discuss all the layers of mobility. Meaning you start really with citizens' behavior, why people are moving around, Why do they need to move? What are their behaviors? What are their expectations, their needs, and so on? And after, you can dig into technology development and really get kind of nerd development and see, okay, what are we in terms of technology progress now? You have the policy aspect, you have this regulation, so I really love this field, and this is what I hear when you talk about it, because it's touching so many aspects of our society in general.
Yeah, there was also another episode or aspect that personal life that touched me a lot. I had my father who was very passionate of motors and so on, but at some point, for his disease, he couldn't drive anymore, and he had to rely on other people to drive him around to the hospitals and so on. So that was made me thought, well, if we had automated vehicles here, that he could simply book a shuttle or on-demand shuttle, maybe he could go everywhere and he could continue to do a normal life as he used to
stay
be.
in the society, connected.
To stay in the society. And this is, for me, true for these cases, but also for other people vulnerable and with disease, or elderly people and disabled. So automated mobility could be really inclusive.
Mm-hmm. If deployed properly. That's what we are working on every day. So, okay, thanks for sharing this with us. And before closing this episode, there is kind of a release of information that we can make now. That's an information that I've heard you told us a few weeks ago, and made me very sad, of course. So maybe the audience can already know what will come. But you have new plans for the future, and we can share it now. And it's sad, but on the other side, I'm very happy because you will stay in the field of automated mobility. So please tell us more about it.
Thank you for the question. Indeed, it's sad for me, but I decided to leave UITP to take a new adventure, a new challenge. And I'm happy to have been selected and appointed to be the future managing director of a new association that is called PAVE Europe, so Partners for Automated Vehicles Education, where education is very important. So I will be, let's say, the first one to build this new coalition of European organizations that would like to join us. There are already funding members that pushed for the creation of this. And I'm happy to stay in the field of automated mobility and to contribute now even more, because I am going back to this after a period of taking another role at UITP. So I'm very happy to start this new adventure, and the idea here is to really collaborate with all the major stakeholders, industries, non-profit organizations, universities, to let's say, to tell the truth about automated vehicles today and for tomorrow.
The expectations and
yes,
and so on.
And the mission is also to educate the public opinion.
Yes, that would be my next question, because I checked online what PAVE is doing, and the first thing they put is really to inform the public about automated vehicles. And what I realized is that it's very easy to talk about automated mobility among experts, and we are doing this in our everyday lives. We go to conferences, we have this committee at UITP that you mentioned, these projects. So it's experts talking to experts. But at the end, as we say it for the European project, it's tax money. And at the end, what we do is for the public. So how to connect with them, and how? So do you have already some ideas for your future role? How can we best connect with the public and make sure that everyone get to know what we are doing, and that we can be maybe more transparent about this development?
Yes, indeed. We can only succeed if we involve the public, I mean the citizens,
The
in this technology. We need to involve them now, where we are testing and telling them what is technology about, to let them test, so to bring them in demonstration site, for example, let them test, involve the young generation, involve the universities also to educate and teach to the students, also involve schools, why not? Otherwise, this is a pure technology that is deployed one day, it will be fully ready, but no one asked for it.
Yeah.
And no one was aware that this was coming. So it's important because as experts, as professionals, we know the benefits and road safety and sustainability, all we said, but the citizens care about their daily life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good point.
And,
we forget to remind this
exactly
regularly why we are doing this.
In their daily life, they don't care what type of means they use to move. They just want that it works perfectly. And if it doesn't work, and then it's... But if we involve them, from now, they started to think about it and to support them. We can create focus groups, can also see the difference of culture in the different countries, how they perceive and feel this new technology. I'm sure that we can succeed, but of course, you will always have, let's say, haters or
yes, I
can
see them coming already.
Create challenges to us.
Yeah. But with this kind of haters that are, I don't know if it's evolving, but at least with social media, they've been there definitely. We have seen there was some deployment so it was not in show, but some deployment in Barcelona where there was kind of not a protest, but people really against automated mobility, saying it will take millions of jobs away from the bus driver, or it will be like it's a new. They could see kind of a post-apocalyptic vision of the robot controlling the world, and I'm not kidding. It was really the comments, and you could see the fear behind. And it will come. I mean, we will be faced to that, and I'm sure in your new association you will be also faced to this type of very emotional reaction towards automation.
Definitely, that's why we need to tell them the truth. I don't want to enter in other fields like vaccines and so on, but yes. We need to,
Similar.
It's quite similar. I mean, we need to educate in all senses and tell what is the truth, what they have to expect, and what is possible and what is not possible, and also tell them that this money are spent to invest on research, because without research we cannot advance.
Yeah. And to conclude, just a word about PAVE again. PAVE is originally from the US, right? They were founded in the US, and now there is this new organization. Will there still be a link with US, or so how will it work? Because you have a big US player, Waymo, as co-founder of PAVE Europe, and Waymo is actually comes from Google and so on, so it's very, very big player, I would say. So, where is the link with US?
Yes, the PAVE US or North America was funded some years ago already. There is a link, but PAVE Europe will be a new association, so a new independent association based in Brussels. These players will be members of Europe as well, so to work with us in Europe, but there will be still a link. Of course, the PAVE US is part of PAVE Europe as well. So we continue this collaboration, knowing that the US and Europe have two different approaches and also two different focuses, I would say.
Yeah, we will need a full episode on that, I guess,
exactly.
to describe this. But in short, maybe saying US is more towards robotaxi development, while in Europe we are more towards this shuttles, shared, like more. How would you?
I see it. Yeah, that US is more focusing on the HADAS, or the advancement of automated technology within the car.
Yeah, passenger car.
Level 3. mainly reaching level 3 for private car, maybe, or even robotaxis, while Europe is more focusing on shared mobility and the use of these vehicles as a service. So that's this is the main difference that I see.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I hope we will have the occasion to talk about it again in the future. I hope we will also continue collaborating, and I'm sure we will be in the same field still. So I wish you all the best for this new job.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for accepting talking to us today. And I wish you a fantastic day. Thank you, Guido.
Thank you very much, Henriette. It was a real pleasure, and I really hope that we will continue to collaborate. And I wish you good luck for the future of your career and show.
You will hear about it, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank
bye
you.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Automating Mobility, the people behind the wheel. This podcast would not have been possible without the support from the Horizon 2020 program by the European Commission under the grant agreement number 875530. Check out the links for the show project and other references in the description of the episode, and subscribe to our newsletter to stay tuned. Don't hesitate to share this episode or give us feedback to it. My name is Henriette Cornet from UITP, and I hope to see you at our next episode.